Look, I don't want to say I'm optimistic that there will be no war, but I say I'm less and less pessimistic. I think now we are convinced that we don't want a war. We talk to Hezbollah, we negotiate with them, we dialogue with them. They are worried about Lebanon. They're worried about the economic, political, and social situation in Lebanon. After all, their base is Lebanese, and they will be hurt. And I think this is an impression, they don't say it, that they don't want a war. Now, they want to support what's going on in Gaza. And so I don't think they have the intention to expand what's going on now on our southern borders and Israel northern borders. Now, the situation could get worse if Israel decided to attack, to have a preemptive, as they put it at one time, attack on Lebanon, or the situation in Gaza got a lot worse. And now, so far, it is really in control. I don't think there will be a war soon in Lebanon. And I think, even the Iranians and Hezbollah are not assuring us, but saying it in an indirect way. When the Iranian foreign minister asks about what's happening to ceasefire, people asking for ceasefire means they don't want war. Shouldn't the Americans, they don't talk to the Americans, so shouldn't the Americans be calling for a ceasefire? So all of these
is that what you're suggesting as well?
Yes.
That the Americans push for a ceasefire?
We are asking the Americans to pressure the Israelis against war, against instigating war in Lebanon, and we'll do that same thing with Hezbollah. I just came from a meeting with the Prime Minister, and he, in his meetings with Mr. Blinken in Jordan, he emphasized that. He said, you take care of the Israelis in this sense, and we'll take care also of Hezbollah. We are not talking, both of us are talking negotiating, both of us are talking dialoguing. Nobody is going to use force or can use force.
The Iranian foreign minister, though, described it as Hezbollah having their fingers on the trigger. How certain are you that anyone can control some of the very extreme elements of Hezbollah?
Yeah. Look, Hezbollah is a very disciplined organization, more disciplined than many others that are working around. And they trigger in case Israel attacks, or in case things are going to take a long time before they get very, very bad in Gaza. But here, it's just Israel, because the Minister of Defense of Israel, he has a threat to Lebanon every day. He wants to put Lebanon in Stone Age. I don't understand what kind of country would accept a country next to it in Stone Age. It's not good for both of us. So, no, I'm still, this is again an impression that we are not going to have war. And we say inshallah, right? God willing, we will not have war. I'm more, as I said, less pessimistic than I was before Mr. Nasrallah made his speech.
What are the key things that you think need to happen to lower the temperature and to ensure that it doesn't escalate?
We suggested to the Americans that Israel is a country, right? Hezbollah is a resistance organization. They can go to the United Nations and ask for 48 hours ceasefire in northern Lebanon. And we'll do our best that Hezbollah adheres to these. And maybe the 48 hours will expand in time. But they didn't do it. We asked the Americans many times on that.
And what now? Because Nasrallah, the Hezbollah leader, many of his supporters and followers, and we've just come from a highly energized, very passionate, very angry funeral of a Hezbollah soldier, said that if the killings go on in Gaza of civilians, if the killings go on of civilians, or if there are any civilians killed in Lebanon, then they will take steps, they will retaliate. And that seems to signal a big involvement.
You know, the difference between Mr. Nasrallah and Mr. Netanyahu is that Mr. Netanyahu immediately started working with his rage and hate while Mr. Nasrallah thinks about it. It took him a month to make a speech. He thinks about it. He knows what are the circumstances. He studies it. He discusses it. While in Israel, they didn't. They started the revenge immediately. They never thought about it again. And now they are in Gaza. Okay, what then? Are they going to kill 2 million people? How can they kill Hamas? But Hamas is part of this population. So unless there is a little bit of thinking and dialogue with others, the Americans say that Mr. Netanyahu is not convinced yet for a pause, and the Arabs are not accepting the pause. It's becoming, we have a lot of pressure on us as Arab governments that a ceasefire and the talks, because we have to look for the roots of what happened. We are not like accepting what happened in southern Israel, but look at the roots. Look at the way Gaza people were living. This would, if it continues like that, and it's getting worse now, there would be more extremists. There would be more Hamas, and Hamas would be stronger. In 2006, Mr. Olmert was the Prime Minister of Israel. He said he wanted to eliminate Hezbollah. The war was over after 5 weeks, and Hezbollah was stronger. So unless there is peace with the Palestinians, unless there is a two-state solution, and not the Abraham Accords or any other accords, or even the Camp David Accords would solve the problem in the Middle East. Only peace with Israel, only negotiation with Israel and the Palestinians would bring peace, not only to them, but also to the whole region. We are suffering because the Israelis are so far stubborn not to negotiate with the Palestinians. The news is saying now that Mr. Netanyahu was strengthening Hamas against the Palestinian Authority, which wanted peace. Okay, that's what happens when you strengthen an extreme organization. So they should talk about peace. The only country in the world that can make peace in this region is America. Let's not fool ourselves. The enemies accept that, and the friends accept that. And those in the middle accept it as well. America is the only country that can bring peace, that can negotiate with others in this region, in this issue as well. So this is their role, and that should be their role.